Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Grow Leap Academy podcast. Today, we're diving into something that will forever change how you look at money. Get ready for 37 brutal lessons about money. Today we'll cover the first 20 of them. Why brutal? Because the truth about finance sometimes hurts, but it's the kind of pain that pushes you forward. In a time when influencers pretend to be wealthy, inflation eats away at savings, and most people live paycheck to paycheck. You need more than just basic financial advice. What's in store for you? You'll learn why financial literacy isn't a luxury, but a necessity. You'll discover how to start building real wealth. And no, it's not about the latest iPhone or designer sneakers. We'll reveal how to work with debt, how to invest smartly, and how to create multiple income streams. Whether you're a student, starting your career, or looking for a path to financial independence, these 20 lessons will provide you with specific tools you can start using today. So tune in, grab a notebook, and let's change your financial future. Lesson 1. Financial literacy is not a choice, but a necessity. Hey, listen! You might think that financial literacy is something you can deal with later, something for adults. But the truth is that money is all around you right now and will be throughout your entire life. Every day you make financial decisions, whether you realize it or not. When you buy that new shirt, when you subscribe to another streaming service, or when you set aside part of your allowance, these are all financial decisions. And here's the thing. If you don't learn how to handle money, money will learn how to handle you. Imagine this situation. Your friend bought the latest iPhone on installments. It looks cool. Everyone envies him. But then he discovers he's paying much more than the actual price of the phone due to interest. Meanwhile, you waited, saved up, and bought the same model for cash a few months later. Who made the better decision? Financial literacy isn't about having a PhD in economics. It's about understanding the basics, how interest works, what inflation is, how to create a budget. It's like learning basic vocabulary when you're learning a new language. And the whole world speaks this language. Trust me, your future self will thank you for every minute you now spend learning about money. Lesson 2. Money is a tool, not a goal. Sure, having lots of money sounds great, but here's the truth that influencers don't show you. Money alone won't make you happy. It's like a hammer. A hammer itself is useless until you start building with it. Money is a tool, a means to an end, not the end itself. When you understand that money is here to help you live the life you want, and not to define who you are, it will change your perspective. Look, you know those stories about lottery winners who lose everything within a few years and end up worse off than before? That's because they had money, but didn't know how to use it as a tool. They saw it as the goal, and when they achieved it, they had no plan. On the contrary, take someone like Greta Thunberg. She didn't start out wealthy, but she used what she had, her voice, her passion, and her time, as tools to achieve change. And today, she has influence that can't be measured in money. Next time you're scrolling through Instagram and see someone with stacks of cash or a new car, ask yourself, what purpose does this serve them? What kind of life is it helping them build? Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much you have in your account, but what that money enables you to do. Lesson 3. Wealth is what remains when you lose all your money. This distinction is crucial, so listen carefully. Money and wealth are not the same thing. Money is what you have in your wallet or account. Wealth is what you know, what skills you have, how you think. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, you have a full wallet, but you spend extravagantly, know nothing about investing, and live paycheck to paycheck. In the second, you may have less money, but you have skills that are in demand in the market. You understand how money works, and you have a network of people who support you. Now imagine a crisis comes, like the COVID one in 2020. Which of these two people has a better chance of getting through it? the one with wealth. Take someone like Elon Musk, for example. Did you know he lost almost all his money several times? But each time he came back stronger because his real wealth is in his knowledge, experience, and connections. Wealth is like an operating system. When you have it, you can run any program on it. Money is like an application, useful but temporary. So ask yourself, what do I know? What skills do I have? How do I think about money? Because these are things no one can take from you. This is your real wealth. Lesson 4. Savings are the foundation of wealth. Hey, it might sound boring, but the truth is that without savings, you have nothing to build on. It's like playing Minecraft. You first need to gather basic materials before you can build an epic castle. In the real world, it works like this. Every crown you save is a crown that works for you, not against you. It's not about how much you earn. I know people with high salaries who are always at zero, and people with average incomes who have decent savings. Look at it this way. When you earn $20,000 a month and spend everything, how much is left? Zero. When you earn $15,000 and spend $12,000, you have $3,000 in savings. In a year, that's $36,000. In 10 years, $360,000, plus interest. Start with small amounts, even just 500 crowns a month. The important thing is to start and be consistent. There's the 50-30-20 rule: 50% of income for necessities, 30% for things you want, and 20% for savings. If you can't give 20%, give 10% or 5%, but give something. And one last thing, automate it. Set up a standing order so that part of your salary or allowance automatically transfers to a savings account. You won't have to deal with it each time, and you won't even notice that money is missing. Lesson 5. Live below your means. Okay, now comes something you might not want to hear, but it's a game changer. Live below your means, not at the edge of your means. What does that mean? When you earn $20,000, live as if you earned $15,000. When you get a raise to $25,000, continue living as if you had $15,000 or $20,000. Invest or save the difference. Sure, on social media, it looks like everyone is living to the max. New iPhone every year, designer clothes, vacations at luxury resorts. But what you don't see is the debt they often use to finance it, or how little they have left at the end of the month. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He could buy an entire city if he wanted, but he lives below his means. This isn't about being stingy or denying yourself joy. It's about making thoughtful decisions about what's really important to you. Maybe you care more about traveling than branded clothes. Maybe you prefer quality food over the latest gadgets. It's your choice. Imagine two friends, both earn the same. One spends everything on brand name clothes and the latest technology. The other treats himself occasionally but invests most of his money. In 10 years, the first will still be where he started, while the second may have financial freedom. Living below your means isn't a limitation. It's freedom from financial stress and a path to future wealth. Lesson 6. Paying yourself is priority number 1. This is a fundamental shift in thinking that separates financially successful people from others. Most people get paid and gradually pay rent, food, bills, entertainment, and what's left, they save, which is usually nothing. But wealthy people do exactly the opposite. They pay themselves first, and then everything else. What does paying yourself mean? It means that as soon as you get money, you set aside part of it as savings or investments. For example, 10% of every paycheck or allowance automatically goes to your savings account or investments, and only from the rest do you pay your expenses. It's as if you had your own business. And you are a business, trust me. No company can function long-term if it doesn't spend part of its income on its development and future. Neither can you. When you start thinking this way, you become your own priority. You're not just paying Spotify, Netflix, your mobile operator, Alza, McDonald's. You're also paying yourself. And that's the best investment ever. Try it. Next time you get money, immediately set aside 10%. Don't think about it. Just do it. The remaining 90% will be enough. Trust me. And in a few months, look at how much you've accumulated. You'll be surprised. Lesson 7. Track your expenses. Down to the last penny. How much did you spend last month? And on what exactly? If you don't know, you're not alone. Most people have no idea where their money disappears to. It's like playing a computer game and not noticing how much health you're losing. Suddenly, game over, and you don't know why. With money, it's the same. Small expenses add up and can ruin you without you noticing. Imagine buying coffee every day for 80 crowns. Seems like nothing, right? But in a year, that's almost 30,000. For that money, you could have a solid vacation or an investment that would yield even more. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy coffee. I'm saying you should know that you're buying it and consciously decide whether it's worth it to you. There are plenty of apps that can help you with this. Spendee, Wallet, Check Money, or just keep an Excel spreadsheet. The important thing is to start tracking every crown. And what's really cool, when you start tracking your expenses, you automatically start spending less. It's like with calories. When you start counting them, suddenly you eat healthier. When you see how much you spend on unnecessary things, you naturally start reconsidering your habits. I know a friend who thought he didn't have enough money, but when he started recording expenses, he found he was spending $5,000 a month on food from delivery services. Now he cooks at home and saves almost $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. Remember, what you don't measure, you don't manage. So start measuring your money. Lesson 8. Invest early and regularly. Imagine planting a tree. The sooner you plant it, the bigger it will be when you need its shade or fruit. Investing works exactly the same way. Look at these numbers. Jack starts investing at 18. He puts aside $100 monthly until he's 30 and then stops. In total, he invests $14,400. Mark doesn't start until 30 and invests $100 monthly until he's 65. He invests a total of $42,000. Guess who has more money at 65? Jack. Even though he invested 3 times less, he'll have more because his money had more time to work for him. And it doesn't matter how much you start with. Even $50 a month is better than nothing. Consistency is key. It's better to invest $50 every month than $600 once a year. But I don't know how to invest. I get it. Fortunately, there are automated investment platforms today where you just set up a recurring transfer and they take care of everything. Most banks now offer investment apps where you can start with minimal amounts. And remember, investing isn't just about stocks. It can be education that will bring you a better job in the future, a course that increases your value in the job market, or even books about finance. Remember, the best time to invest was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Lesson 9. The power of compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. This is legit magic that nobody teaches in school. Albert Einstein once said that compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. And he was right. Compound interest means you earn not only on the money you invested, but also on the returns your investment has already generated. It's like a snowball. The longer it rolls down the hill, the bigger it gets. Let's say you invest $10,000 with a 10% annual return. After the first year, you have $11,000. In the second year, you don't earn 10% just on the original $10,000, but on the entire $11,000. So you have $12,100. The third year, you earn from $12,100, and so on. After 20 years, your original $10,000 has turned into over $67,000. Now imagine adding more money every month. That's real power. Sure, in the real world, returns aren't the same every year. Sometimes you earn more, sometimes less. Sometimes you even lose money. But in the long run, if you invest wisely and diversify, the market grows. That's why it's so important to start early. If you start at 20 instead of 30, it could mean hundreds of thousands or even millions more in the end. And one more thing. Compound interest works in other areas of life too. Your knowledge, skills, connections, everything compounds over time. So invest not just money, but also time in your development. Lesson 10. Buy assets, not liabilities. This is one of the most important things you can learn about money, and most people never get it. What's an asset? It's something that puts money in your pocket. What's a liability? Something that takes money out of your pocket. It's that simple. Let me give you examples. Assets are stocks that pay dividends, real estate that you rent out, an online course you created and sell, a YouTube channel that generates ad revenue. Liabilities are a car that loses value, clothes you wear, the latest iPhone that will be worth half in a year. Poor people buy stuff. Rich people buy assets that then buy them stuff. Obviously, you need some liabilities. You need somewhere to live, food to eat, clothes to wear. But the ratio is key. What percentage of your money goes into assets versus liabilities? Try this challenge. Before every major purchase, ask yourself, is this an asset or a liability? Will it bring me money or will it just cost money? If it's a liability, it's not automatically bad, but you should know what you're getting into. By the way, education can be a great asset if you learn something that increases your value in the job market. But it can also be a liability if you go into debt for a degree that won't bring you better income. So, the next paycheck you get, how much of it will go to assets and how much to liabilities? The decision is yours. Lesson 11. Good debt builds wealth, bad debt destroys it. Okay, now for a somewhat controversial topic. Debt. You may have heard that debt is bad. But the truth is more complex. There is good debt and bad debt. Bad debt is debt you take on for things that lose value or don't generate income, like a loan for a vacation, a new iPhone, or clothes. A typical example is a credit card you don't pay off in full each month. The interest rates are brutal, often 20% annually or more. That means everything you buy with such a credit card actually costs you a fifth more. On the other hand, good debt helps you build wealth. It's debt for something that either appreciates in value or generates income higher than the interest on the debt. For example, a mortgage on a property you rent out, and the rent covers the payments. Or a loan for education that significantly increases your income. The key is the ratio of return to interest. If you borrow at 4% interest for an investment that earns 8%, you're up by 4%. That makes sense. But beware. Even good debt can be dangerous when you have too much of it, or when conditions change. A mortgage is good debt, as long as you can make the payments. If you lose your job and don't have a reserve, it quickly turns into a nightmare. So rule number 1, avoid bad debt like the plague. Rule number 2, even with good debt, be careful and never borrow more than you can handle, even if things go wrong. And if you already have bad debts, focus on paying them off. It's the best investment you can make. Lesson 12. Create multiple streams of income. Imagine you have only one source of water. What happens if it dries up? You die of thirst. It's the same with money. When you have only one source of income and you lose it, you're screwed. Most people rely only on income from employment. But what if a crisis comes and the company starts laying people off? What if the market changes and your skills are no longer needed? What if you get injured and can't work? That's why you need to diversify. Have several different sources of income, not just for security, but also for building wealth. There are different types of income. Active income is where you exchange your time for money, typically a job or a side gig. Passive income is what you receive even when you're not working. Dividends from stocks, rental income from real estate, royalties from a book or song. Ideally, you want a mix of both, with a gradual shift toward more passive sources. It's not as hard as it sounds. You can start with small steps. Invest part of your paycheck in ETF funds. Sell your photos on stock photo banks. Create a digital product. Start a small side hustle on weekends. You don't have to be an expert in everything. Start with what you enjoy and what you're good at. Maybe you play guitar well. You can give lessons. Can you code? You can create an app or website. Like writing? Try a blog with affiliate links. Even small amounts from different sources add up. And the best part is that each additional source of income increases your financial security and freedom. Lesson 13. Understand the difference between price and value. Here's something that will change how you shop forever. Price and value are not the same thing. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Let me break it down. Just because something is expensive doesn't mean it's valuable. And just because something is cheap doesn't mean it's a good deal. Take fast fashion, for example. That $15 shirt might seem like a bargain, but if it falls apart after 3 washes, was it really? Now compare that to a $60 shirt that lasts for years. Which one actually costs less per wear? The more expensive one might actually be the better value. This applies to everything in life. A $1,000 laptop that helps you earn $10,000 is more valuable than a $500 laptop that breaks down when you need it most. A $100 course that teaches you skills to double your income is more valuable than a $10 one that wastes your time. Warren Buffett, one of the world's greatest investors, said, "Price is what you pay. Value is what you get." He made billions by understanding this difference. So next time you're about to buy something, don't just ask, "How much does it cost?" Ask, "What value will this bring to me? Will it save me time? Make me money? Last longer? Improve my health? Make me happier in the long run?" Sometimes the best value is the most expensive option. Sometimes it's the cheapest. And sometimes the best value is not buying anything at all. Lesson 14. The psychology of money matters more than the math. Now, here's something most financial advisors won't tell you. Your money behavior is driven more by your psychology than by your knowledge of math. You can know all the formulas and strategies, but if you have unhealthy money beliefs or emotional triggers around spending, you'll still make poor financial decisions. Think about it. How many times have you bought something to feel better? Or to impress someone? Or because you were stressed or bored? That's psychology, not math. Research shows that money is the #1 source of stress for most people. And stressed people make worse financial decisions, creating a vicious cycle. Your relationship with money was formed early in your life. If you grew up seeing your parents stress about bills, you might either be super frugal or rebel by overspending. If money was never discussed, you might find it uncomfortable to negotiate your salary or talk about prices. So how do you hack your own psychology? Start by becoming aware of your money triggers. Do you shop when you're sad? Do you avoid checking your bank balance because it gives you anxiety? Do you feel you deserve expensive things after a hard day? Then, create systems to bypass these triggers. Automate your savings so you don't have to rely on willpower. Use the 24-hour rule for big purchases. Wait a day before buying to see if you still want it. Find free or low-cost ways to reward yourself that don't involve spending. Remember, even the best financial strategy won't work if your psychology is working against you. Lesson 15. Your network is your net worth. Let me drop some real talk. In today's world, who you know can be just as important as what you know. Your social network is literally one of your biggest financial assets. Think about it. How do most people find their jobs? Through connections. How do entrepreneurs find investors? Through networks. How do you learn about opportunities before they're public? From people who trust you enough to share that information. A Harvard study found that 85% of job positions are filled through networking. That's huge. And it's not just about jobs, it's about mentorship, partnerships, investments, and insider knowledge. But here's the thing. Building a valuable network isn't about collecting contacts like Pokemon cards. It's about creating genuine relationships with people who share your values and interests. I know a guy who was just a college student with average grades, but he spent time helping professors with their research, connecting with alumni, and actively participating in online communities in his field. When a dream job opportunity came up, guess who got recommended for it? Not the straight-A student who never talked to anyone, but the guy who had built relationships. How do you build a valuable network when you're starting out? It's simple. Be useful. Find ways to help others without expecting immediate returns. Share information, make introductions, offer your skills. When you become known as someone who adds value, people will want to connect with you. And remember, your network isn't just about up, connecting with people more successful than you. It's also about across, peers who grow with you, and even down, those you can mentor and who will rise up later. In the digital age, your network can span the globe. Join online communities, participate in discussions, share your knowledge. You never know which connection might change your financial future. Lesson 16. The most expensive thing in the world is opportunity cost. Okay, this concept blew my mind when I first understood it, and it'll change how you make decisions forever. It's called opportunity cost, and it's arguably the most important concept in economics. Opportunity cost is the value of what you give up when you choose one option over another. It's not just about money, it's about time, energy, and opportunities. Let me give you an example. You have $1,000 and two options. Option A. Buy the latest gaming console. Option B. Invest it in learning how to code. The opportunity cost of buying the console isn't just the $1,000. It's also what that $1,000 could have become if you'd invested it in coding skills that might have earned you $100,000 over your lifetime. Or think about time. Every hour you spend scrolling social media is an hour you're not reading, learning, building relationships, exercising, or creating something valuable. That's an opportunity cost, too. The tricky part about opportunity cost is that it's invisible. You don't get a bill for it. You don't see what could have been. That's why it's so dangerous. High achievers understand this instinctively. They're not just asking, "Is this good?" They're asking, "Is this the best use of my resources right now?" This doesn't mean you should never have fun or relax. Rest and play are crucial for well-being and creativity. The point is to make conscious choices, understanding what you're giving up. Next time you're making a decision, whether it's about money, time, or energy, ask yourself, what am I giving up by choosing this option? Is it worth it? Sometimes it will be. Sometimes it won't. But at least you'll be deciding with your eyes open. Lesson 17. Financial freedom is about having options, not just money. Let's talk about what we're really after here. Is it a certain number in your bank account? A mansion? A yacht? For most people, what they're actually seeking is freedom. The ability to make choices about their lives without being constrained by money. Financial freedom doesn't necessarily mean being rich. It means having enough passive income to cover your expenses, so you can choose how to spend your time without financial pressure. Think about it. What would you do if money wasn't a concern? Would you still work at your current job? Would you travel more? Spend more time with family? Start that business you've been dreaming about. Write that book. Learn that instrument. There are different levels of financial freedom. Level 1. No more toxic debt. You're not paying credit card interest or payday loans. Level 2. Emergency fund. You have enough savings to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. Level 3. FU money. You have enough savings that you can quit a bad job without immediately needing another one. Level 4. Career freedom. Your investments generate enough income that you can choose to work on what you love, not just what pays well. Level 5. Full financial independence. Your passive income fully covers your lifestyle, and work becomes optional. The beautiful thing is that each level gives you more options and reduces your stress. You don't need to wait until level 5 to feel the benefits. I know people who live very modestly but have complete freedom over their time because they've structured their lives to need very little. And I know people with six-figure incomes who are trapped in jobs they hate because their expenses are so high. So when you're making financial decisions, ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to freedom or pushing it further away? That fancy car might look cool, but if it means working 3 more years at a job you don't love, is it worth it? Remember, the ultimate luxury isn't owning expensive things. It's having control over your own time and choices. Lesson 18. Inflation is the silent wealth killer. Let's talk about a financial force that's constantly working against you, even while you sleep. Inflation. It's like a financial termite, quietly eating away at your money's value day by day. Inflation means that over time, the same amount of money buys you less and less. Think about it. What could you buy with $10 20 years ago compared to today? A lot more, right? On average, inflation runs about 2 to 3% per year in developed economies. That might not sound like much, but it compounds just like interest. At 3% inflation, the value of your money is cut in half every 24 years. Here's why this matters. If you keep your money in a regular savings account, earning 0.5% interest, while inflation is 3%, you're actually losing 2.5% of your purchasing power every year. You might think you're being responsible by saving, but your money is shrinking in real terms. This is why investing isn't optional if you want to build wealth. It's necessary just to maintain what you have. Your investments need to earn at least the rate of inflation just to break even in terms of purchasing power. Always think in terms of real returns. Your investment returns minus inflation. If your investments grow by 7%, but inflation is 3%, your real return is 4%. And inflation affects different people differently. It hits hardest those who live on fixed incomes, like many retirees, and those who keep most of their wealth in cash. So, what can you do? Invest in assets that historically outpace inflation, like stocks, real estate, or inflation-protected securities. Increase your earning potential through education and skills. And be wary of keeping too much money in cash for long periods. Remember, just saving money isn't enough. You need to grow it faster than inflation eats it away. Lesson 19. Learn to read the basic financial statements. I know. Financial statements sound boring, but here's the truth. If you can't read the basic financial documents in your life, you're financially illiterate, like trying to navigate a foreign country without understanding any of the signs. There are 3 key financial statements you need to understand. First, the net worth statement, or balance sheet. This is a snapshot of what you own, assets, minus what you owe, liabilities, at a specific point in time. Your net worth is the true measure of your wealth, not your income or the stuff you own. Calculate it simple. List everything you own with a dollar value. Subtract everything you owe, and that's your net worth. Ideally, you want this number to grow over time. Second, the cash flow statement, or income statement. This tracks money coming in, income, and going out, expenses, over a period of time. If you're spending more than you earn, you're heading for trouble, no matter how high your income is. Break down your expenses into categories to see where your money is really going. Third, the budget. This isn't just a record of what happened like the other statements. It's a plan for the future. A good budget gives every dollar a job before you spend it. It doesn't have to be restrictive. It's simply a tool to ensure your money is going where you want it to go. These statements aren't just for businesses. They're for you. There are plenty of apps that can help you generate these automatically, but understanding what they mean is what matters. Once a month, take 30 minutes to review these statements. Ask yourself, is my net worth growing? Is my cash flow positive? Am I sticking to my budget? This simple habit will put you ahead of 90% of people in financial awareness. Remember, what gets measured gets managed, and you can't improve what you don't track. Lesson 20. Automate your finances to overcome human nature. Let's be honest, humans are terrible at consistently making good financial decisions. We're emotional, we get distracted, we procrastinate, and we give in to immediate gratification. The solution? Take yourself out of the equation as much as possible by automating your finances. Automation is like having a responsible financial twin who never gets tired, never forgets, and never gives in to impulse purchases. It's one of the most powerful tools for building wealth. Here's how to set it up. First, automate your income to be deposited directly into your bank account. Then set up automatic transfers that happen the day after payday. A certain percentage goes to your savings account, another portion to your investment accounts, another to debt repayment above the minimum. What remains is what you can spend. By automating, you're paying yourself first and removing the temptation to spend money that should be saved. You never see that money, so you don't miss it. You can also automate bill payments to avoid late fees, set up automatic credit card payments for the full balance to avoid interest charges, and even automate regular investments to take advantage of dollar-cost averaging. Studies show that people who automate their savings save more than twice as much as those who don't. It's not because they have more discipline. It's because they've created a system that doesn't rely on discipline. The beauty of automation is that it requires effort only once to set it up, but it keeps working for you indefinitely. It turns good financial intentions into actual results. Remember, don't rely on willpower for your financial success. Willpower is a limited resource. Systems and automation are unlimited. And those are the first 20 lessons from our money special. As you can see, financial freedom isn't about getting rich overnight or pretending to be successful for social media. It's a journey built on knowledge, discipline, and smart decisions. If you've been listening carefully, you now have a map to financial independence. Start with small steps. Track your expenses, create a budget, begin investing even small amounts regularly. Remember, it's not about how much money you start with, but how you handle it. In the next episode, we'll look at the remaining 17 lessons that will take you even further. You'll learn about passive income, tax optimization, and much more. If you liked this podcast and found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the Grow Leap Academy channel. Your support helps us create quality content that changes lives. Write to us in the comments which lesson resonated with you the most, or what you'll start implementing today. We're here for you and look forward to your feedback. Remember, your financial future begins right now with the decisions you make today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time with more brutal lessons about money.